The Emigrant Trails Hall of Fame honors leaders of the 19th-century Western migration and individuals in later generations whose work has contributed significantly to the understanding and preservation of the trail legacy. Established in 2015, the Hall of Fame now has 40 members, and new members are added annually. This year we honor James Beckwourth, Margaret Long, Jedediah Smith, and Joseph Walker. James Beckwourth, a legendary mountain man, is honored for his discovery of what became known as Beckwourth Pass in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and for his opening of the Beckwourth Trail in 1851. As the lowest of the Sierra crossings, it was a much-needed alternative to the difficult Carson and Truckee trail routes used heavily by settlers and gold seekers from 1851 to 1855. Born into slavery in Virginia, Beckwourth moved to Missouri with his family as a child. He joined William Ashley's Rocky Mountain Fur Company in 1824 and spent most of his life trapping and trading in the West, living with members of the Crow Indian tribe during various periods. In his later years, he often served as a scout and guide for military parties. He was a witness to the Sand Creek Massacre in 1864, and later condemned the actions of the troops in testimony to a military commission. Margaret Long, a prominent physician in Denver, Colorado, was also widely recognized as a Western historian. Beginning in the early 1940s, she published a trilogy of books that provided detailed directions, mile by mile and turn by turn, on how to reach the historic sites and markers she had located in her travels on the Smoky Hill, Oregon, and Santa Fe trails. In the 1920s, she and a friend were the first women to enter Death Valley alone, leading to the publication of Dr. Long's book, The Shadow of the Arrow, in 1941, in which she traced the route of the emigrants in 1849 and described the suffering they experienced on the way to the goldfields in California. In 1944, the State Historical Society of Colorado awarded Dr. Long its first citation for Distinguished Historical Service for her trail research, and later honored her on state historical markers in Franktown and Parker, Colorado. Jedediah Smith, a native of New York, joined William Ashley's fur trading company in 1822. His stated ambition was to be the first to view a country on which the eyes of a white man had never gazed, and to follow the course of rivers that run through a new land. Although his life ended tragically in 1831, he left a legacy of many remarkable discoveries and achievements, including the effective discovery of South Pass, the most critical factor in the transcontinental migration and settlement of the West. Dale Morgan, a renowned historian, wrote that in the exploration of the West, Smith was overshadowed only by Lewis and Clark. Smith set the geographic framework of the Far West as the basis for the evolution of the emigrant trails to Utah, California, and the Northwest. His maps, letters, and journals became invaluable references for his contemporaries in their travel and exploration. Joseph Walker, a renowned guide, trapper, and pathfinder, is credited with opening a major segment of the California Trail in 1833, following the Humboldt River to the Humboldt Sink, and then traversing what would become known as the treacherous 40-mile desert to the Truckee River, the primary future route for emigrants bound for California. He then crossed the Sierra Nevada at what would be known as Walker Pass. In 1840, Walker made the first southern crossing of the Great Basin, from Green River to the confluence of the Virgin River and the Colorado River, then across the Mojave Desert to Los Angeles. In 1845, Walker served as chief guide for John C. Fremont's third government expedition for California and Oregon, and in the 1850s was a guide for a U.S. Army expedition against the Mojave Indians.